I've been behind the wheel of the 2022 Toyota CHR for the past few days, one of the many offerings in the small crossover segment, so let's see what makes it stand out. The CHR was first launched in South Africa in 2017, and for that time the design was quite bold and unique, and thank goodness for that because it has held up quite well up to now in 2023, since the design hasn't really changed in about 5 years. But I still think it looks good, I think it looks trendy. To me, it looks like a hatchback that went to the gym, bulked up, put on some cool sunglasses and wears its cap backwards. That's kind of the vibe I get from it. So I had my reservations about the interior purely from looking at photos online, so I didn't expect to like it very much. I thought it looked a bit chunky and outdated. I didn't like the diamond-shaped buttons on the steering wheel and the climate control. But since then, I have changed my mind slightly, not so much about the look, but the interior of the CHR feels very luxurious. It feels like I'm kind of wrapped in like a stylish cocoon, for lack of a better way to describe that. And I think that's because of the low roof and mostly black and dark colors inside. It's a really nice feeling, and you can tell that the interior is very well built and put together, and the materials are of good quality. Now, speaking of these diamond-shaped things, I looked around and I found more of them to my surprise. So here on the roof lining by the front sun visors, there's 3 little diamond dents in the roof. They're on the door panels, they went at the bottom when you open the doors and the boot. So then I was kind of like, okay, so it's like a theme. It's like little Easter eggs, and I kind of appreciate the thought that went into that. So I'm sold on the diamonds, but I still think the interior needs a bit of a makeover. It feels a bit outdated. I think that the middle console just needs a bit of an update, and the steering wheel is too chunky. I don't like it. Space-wise, the CHR is not too impressive, unfortunately. Legroom for backseat passengers is fine. The seats are really comfortable, but because of the slanted roof, taller backseat passengers might not have such a comfortable experience. The boot as well, it seems quite big when you open it, but because of the angle of the boot lid, it restricts the height and then obviously the overall volume of the boot, so you might not be able to get as much in there as you might have thought. Feature-wise, you get keyless entry and start, a touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and like with most new Toyota models, you get in-car Wi-Fi. This flagship model also has quite a few safety features. You get front and rear parking sensors, a reverse park camera, adaptive cruise control with lane tracing assist, lane departure warning, blind spot warnings, only to name a few. But this is the flagship model, so those features are not standard across the range at all. But one thing that really annoys me, and it's not just in this car, but it is also in this car, and it really gets up my goat, is that the doors don't lock automatically when you drive. And it's not a big thing, but it kind of is. And yes, you can remember to lock the doors yourself, but I feel like this should be a standard feature in all cars in South Africa, because let's be honest, we've got a crime problem. And I checked the settings, I checked online, there's no way to change it, and it's just like, wow. But my favorite thing about the CHR is the drive. It is just an absolute pleasure. Okay, it feels refined, it feels very solid on the road. The suspension is great and it absorbs bumps and things very nicely. The cabin is well insulated, you get very little road noise and engine noise coming in. And when you put your foot down, the engine becomes quite lively. The handling on this car is very responsive, so it's a very engaging, dynamic drive as well. And that combined with the refinedness of it, really good. This car is powered by a 1.2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine that produces 85 kilowatts of power and 185 newton meters of torque. And in the flagship model, you only get a CVT transmission that is surprisingly not annoying. I know they can be very whiny and people usually don't like them, especially car people, but I think in the CHR it adds to the refined drive. Fuel consumption is claimed at 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers, but during my test period it has been 8.4. Can't get it lower, or I can, but not easily. And yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with that. I was hoping that it would be a little bit more fuel efficient. So this 1.2T luxury is priced just over 594,000 Rand, which is quite a lot, being almost 600,000 Rand. And it just feels it feels like a lot. I mean, you can try and justify it by pointing out the impressive build quality, the refined drive, the safety features, but there are so many other cars in this segment. Like for instance, you could get an entry-level VW T-Roc for a little bit less. You get more power, mostly the same features, more space, and I think for most buyers, that might be a more attractive option. But if the CHR is in your price range, I think it's worthwhile going to a Toyota dealership, test driving the car, and actually feeling what it is like to drive yourself, because I don't think you'll judge it fairly by just looking at the car. You won't know what it feels like to drive, and it really is nice. Having said that, I still think the interior needs an update. It needs to be a little bit more modern and stylish just to keep up with competitors. But overall, I think it's a really good option in this segment. Maybe a little bit pricey, but I think it's perfect for someone that lives in town, wants something that's easy to drive around there, that's also comfortable in long distances, not too bothered about space, and just someone who's looking for something that looks a bit different, because you don't see a lot of them on the road. I don't feel like they're everywhere, so you'll be standing out a little bit.